Taylor Begley here for the Sports Wrap, and I have Mark Daniels from the Providence Journal joining me to recap the Patriots preseason. Let's start with today's game, Mark. So the Patriots just won their third preseason game, 3-0 now in the preseason. What were your biggest takeaways from tonight's game?
I think the biggest takeaway was how the Patriots used their starters, and that meant Cam Newton. He only played 2 series. I wouldn't say his stat line looks very good, but when he came off the field, so did the starting offensive line. So for me, the biggest takeaway is that it looks like Cam Newton is your starting quarterback. If Mac Jones had a chance to start in week 1, you'd want to see him receive some reps with the starting offensive line and other starting weapons, but that didn't happen. When Mac Jones came on the field in the second quarter, he was there with the backup offensive line, backup running backs, receivers, etc. So for me, I think we got an answer that we've all been waiting for: is who's the starting quarterback? And despite a not great stat line from Cam Newton, it looks like he's the guy.
And Mark, I loved your tweet. The defense, they really came out strong today. What did you see from them, and what about that pass rush? What do you think they can do this season?
Honestly, the Patriots have the potential to have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. We only saw the starters for a few series, but Daniel Jones, through his first 2 series, he was hit 5 times. He was sacked twice. Josh Uche has just been amazing this summer. Had him in with Matt Judon, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower. And then even this undrafted rookie tonight, Bill Murray, had, 1.5 sacks. There's Chase Winovich here. The Pats should have one of the best defenses and best pass rushes in the NFL. We saw a small glimpse of that tonight. I think it's going to be real exciting to watch that unit go to work this season.
And what did you think of Mac Jones? I know you mentioned that we think we got our answer that Cam Newton is the starter, but what did you think about Mac's performance, even without the starting offensive line and some of those starting offensive weapons?
Yeah, overall, I thought Mac was great. 10 of 14 for 156 yards in his first touchdown. I think the Patriots are just in a great position right now, and they have to be thrilled with their investment, of their rookie quarterback. Mac Jones is going to start here probably, by next season, 2022. And I think just he performed really well. He struggled a little bit in the second quarter, but I thought the offensive line wasn't playing great. But come out in the third quarter, he has these passes that I sort of describe as like beautiful, like a 30-yard back shoulder pass to Devin Asiasi, even the 19-yard or 17-yard touchdown throw to Isaiah Zuber. It was in a really tight window. He makes some really, really, pretty passes. Truthfully, he has good mechanics. He's a good pocket passer. I liked what I saw from him. There's some little things he needs to work on. He held the ball a little too long. He got sacked 4 times. It was twice in like a 3-play drive where he held on to it too long. But he's a rookie. That stuff will happen. And I think the Pats are in a great spot going forward. We don't have to say like, hey, who's the quarterback of the future? We know it's Mac Jones, even if he doesn't start this year.
And what are some of those things that you see from Mac Jones that maybe another rookie quarterback might not show?
Yeah, I think he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. We can nitpick about the sacks, but we didn't see him throw an interception this preseason, and I thought that was impressive. And I thought in practice, especially last week against the Giants, he had one day where he completed 88% of his passes, and I know it's practice stats, but just he's shown just constant improvements throughout the summer. And honestly, I thought he looked better in training camp than Jimmy Garoppolo did, or Jared Stidham, Jacoby Brissett, etc. Just he's smart, and I think that really sticks out with the way he throws the ball. He doesn't turn over a lot. He's decisive for the most part in his reads on the field, and we've seen just constant development and improvement, and that's what you want to see from a first-year player in his first training camp.
And then going to the running backs, Ramondre Stevenson, another touchdown tonight, and J.J. Taylor showing off a little bit as well, showing his speed. So what did you see from the running backs and that part of the offense today?
Yeah, the Pats are really in a great position, and you see why, they traded Sony Michel this past week. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson has 5 touchdowns in 3 preseason games. J.J. Taylor averaged somewhere around 8 yards a carry again for the second day in a row. Those 2 guys, I don't know if they're not going to play over Damian Harris. We know that. But I think the Pats have 2 young backs, or added Jamin Harris. He's young too. So they have 3 young backs who are under contract through this season. They're in a really great position. They afforded the Pats to be able to trade Sony Michel, who has a lot of experience, and it's because Stevenson. I mean, he's played better than a 4th-round pick. And Taylor, honestly, he reminds me, and I think a lot of people, of Dion Lewis, who once led the Pats in rushing. So, yeah, I'm excited about that group. I mean, especially if Cam Newton starts, the Pats are going to have to run the ball efficiently, and we've seen they have at least 3 guys who can do that.
And to wrap up the preseason as a whole, what did we learn about this team, a 3-0 preseason team? I know it's just the preseason, but for you, what did you take away from the entire preseason?
There has to be optimism right now. You come off a 7-9 season. You missed the playoffs for a first time in a long time. The Patriots should be much better than they were last year. I think that's a big takeaway. Their defense looks legit with the pass rush. The secondary, I think we still have some questions with Stephon Gilmore, who's still on the physically unable to perform list. But overall, there's more talent here. And even with Cam Newton, say he does start, I think he'll be better. He has better players around him with Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, etc. This team just looks improved. And I think that's a big step in the right direction in these, post Tom Brady years where, the Pats were trying to get back on top. They were third in their division last year, but hey, they went out, they spent a boatload of money in free agency, more than any team ever has. And I think you see it. You can see the talent. I think that's a big reason for optimism and excitement, going here forward.
Mark, thank you so much. Always love getting your take, and more of the Sports Wrap is coming up after this.